What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing our October Halloween haul for Blu-rays and DVDs. Going to be some giveaways in here, so stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. I appreciate you guys coming by to check out these DVDs and Blu-rays that I got this month. It wasn't a huge haul this time. We did a lot of pre-ordering this month because there's a lot of things coming out that you'll be seeing in the future. But I like doing these just because I like talking about movies, so I hope you will sit back and enjoy some of the movies that I picked that maybe you've not heard of and I can suggest to you. So, without further ado, up first, we have Galaxy of Terror. Now, this is a Scream Factory, Shout Factory release where they did the tin cover. It is not, there's not much in it or anything, but, you know, just basically the Steelbook edition. Personally, I'm a fan of the artwork on the other one, so I may at some point pick up the old Blu-ray version of this because the artwork is just killer. I do have a DVD signed by Sid Haig, because he plays a big part in this movie, one that doesn't speak very often. I live and die by the crystals.
I live and I die by the crystals.
This has a special spot for me in my heart. If you are a fan of horror or sci-fi in particular, a lot of people feel like this was like kind of like their ripoff of Aliens or something like that. I mean, back in the day, Alien was such a big movie, and, you know, it was just popping off. And this is, of course, one of those Corman releases, so a lot of those kind of brush the surface of that. But if you look at it a little differently, there is a interesting story in here. You got Robert Englund, you got a ton of different people that are in this movie. But I really enjoy it. This is a really fun, aesthetic looking set design that they had in this movie, and I just adore it. Glad to finally get it. They had some sale on Shout Factory. We got this one for, I think it was $17. So up next, you might have noticed some lighting changes. I had to shift things around because it was just looking like shit. I got this big glare out of there. But anyway, this one we picked up for $5 in the Walmart bin. So you might be able to find these there if you're looking for this movie. I enjoyed it. I went to the theater to see this. I thought it was a good, fun ride. It flails a little towards the end, but it's pretty graphic and pretty gory with some nods to things like Cannibal Holocaust. Which were pretty awesome. I enjoyed this one. I'm kind of interested to see where Godzilla and King Kong go with this because this is canon from that. So I picked it up in preparation for that movie. Up next, we got the Manito. This one, oh my God, this movie is quite interesting. This is a 70s film, 78, I believe. Yep, 78. This is about a woman who apparently gets a cyst on her shoulder, and it starts growing and talking to her in a way until it forms a human person that comes out. Turns out this thing is actually an ancient evil that grows out of her body and gets pretty fucking crazy. Honestly, I've always kind of felt like this had some, you know, it's not as good as like something like Rosemary's Baby, but there are some themes in it that are very similar to it, and the style of direction and everything that they did with this movie is also pretty interesting. I got this one in the Scream Factory Shocktober release that they had. I think we picked this one up for like $12 or something like that. I have been waiting for this to come down in price for a long time because it's been $30 online. I love the movie, but I just didn't want to pay $30. But I am super glad to watch this. This is one I can watch so often. I remember the first time I watched it was way later because I had never heard of it or anything. And when I watched it again, my mind was blown at how far in the 70s they were going with this crazy concept. Boy, does it. I definitely would check it out if you're interested in any of the things I just mentioned. So up next, we got Screamers. A lot of people may get this confused with another movie called Screamers. This is not that movie. This is the sci-fi movie. It's not necessarily horror, but it's got Peter Weller in it, who notoriously is known for playing RoboCop. And God, man, as schlocky as this movie is, and how great Weller is in this as well, some of the acting is a little off, but To be honest, like, this movie is such a fucking guilty pleasure. I have fallen in love with it. I rewatched it a couple of years ago. Man, I was just like, I think it's on Amazon Prime, by the way. So if you have that in the US or wherever you are, you can probably watch it there too. But I watched it and I was like, man, this is such a great campy, like, sci-fi movie that I just gotta own. And there's really not that many sci-fi films that are like it. It is so unique. It's got a lot of gore, a lot of like really tropey stuff, and Peter Weller pulls it all together into this like amazing sci-fi film. I can't recommend this movie enough. I think we also picked this up for like 10 or 12 bucks at the Shocktober thing. So any of you fans out there of this movie, one of my old buddies that I used to be friends with used to put this on every night before he went to sleep, and I laughed at him about it. Christina picked this up. I believe this was at Target. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw this in the theater. I actually really enjoyed it. It is a bit tonally different than the first film. You know, Harrison Ford's in this one again. Man, is it fucking beautiful, and it's so well done. I think the only thing that I didn't like about this film was the nod to a possible sequel after it, because I think it kind of cheapened it a little bit. It's still really beautiful. The soundtrack was redone from the original, and they just upgraded it, which I actually thought was really good. It sounded good too. The beautiful visuals in this movie and the acting are just fan-fucking-tastic. I wouldn't mind getting this on 4K at some point, because visually, up next, Friday the 13th. Deluxe edition. This we got at Big Lots. If you guys have ever been to Big Lots, they have sales on their movies all the time. They're not exactly the best price, but they're not bad. This was $3 on DVD. It's uncut. It's got special features, but we picked this up specifically for our giveaway that we do each month. If you guys aren't familiar, we do a podcast. It's called Beyond the Void Horror Podcast, just like this YouTube video. Every week we do an episode, and every month we do a giveaway for people who are signed up to our email newsletter called the VIP Club, the BTV VIP Club. You should listen to the podcast if you don't, because we spend a lot of time having fun, laughing, making jokes, and getting really in depth with some movies. But we'll be giving this one away with it, so we picked it up for you guys. Link for the VIP Club down below. Up next, oh boy, The Bye-Bye Man. This was one of those movies that I was really hoping that would be amazing. It has a decent concept, but they didn't take it where I thought it was going to go. Still, we picked it up on Blu-ray for $3 and figured we'd give it away at some point. There are some people that do like this movie. It is the unrated cut, so there are some redeeming things in this movie, but overall, it's pretty much an average film. And hopefully someone out there will be excited about this one. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Up next, I have no idea what this movie's about. Disaster LA. The last zombie apocalypse begins here. Hey, it might be good. I don't even own a copy of this, and we're going to give it away. I almost kind of regret that. I kind of like dipping into stuff that I haven't seen before, but we have like the Omen collection that we're giving away, Devil's Rejects and stuff like that too. So there's good stuff in there. Don't worry. Link below. Up next, we got Scanners 2, The New Order, and Scanners 3, The Takeover. Obviously, the first movie is probably the best of the franchise. David Cronenberg is one of my favorite directors, and Scanners is actually really crazy. Plus, it has one of the greatest kills in all of horror history of a human head exploding. And everybody uses it to this day as like mind blown. So the meme for that. But these ones are okay. They weren't great. They weren't amazing. But you know, sometimes you just want to go down the rabbit hole and watch some of these movies. I think we got it for $12. It's normally like 24, I think, for 2 movies. And you know what? There's actually another movie that I really like that's so bad it's good. It's called Scanner Cop. And I believe they were trying to attach that to this Scanners 4 movie or something. That movie is insane. But unfortunately, they don't have it on Blu-ray, so hopefully one day we'll get somebody to be able to put Scanner Cop out, maybe Vinegar Syndrome or something like that. Up next, Speaking of Godzilla, as much of a disappointment this film was to me because they kept cutting away from all the action, there is still some very redeeming things in this movie that I do enjoy. Plus, it's Godzilla. I mean, there's been so many different iterations of Godzilla, some great, some bad. But yeah, I picked this up again so that I can get the ultimate showdown of King Kong versus Godzilla, which I am looking forward to. Wasn't amazed by King of the Monsters movie, but I'm going to pick that up at some point in time once the price comes down a little bit. Up next, we got Annabelle Creation, which of all the 3 movies that I've watched is probably my favorite of them. I'm not a huge Annabelle fan, but this one did some really cool stuff with it. I remember there was like a pop gun scene in this movie where the ball shoots out and they do some trick with it that vaguely reminded me of The Changeling, where the red ball bounces down the stairs. Say what you will about this. This movie elevated the first movie because I hated the first movie until I watched this movie because it connects the two. So if you're going to watch this movie and you haven't watched any Annabelle, you definitely want to watch the first one, as rough as it may be. Oh, and we got this for $5, by the way, so at Walmart. This was very rare to find in the bin, though. It was the only copy. Up next, we got Youre the Hunter from the future.
There must be some place in this world where we can live in peace with our people.
Now, this is a PG film, actually, right here. But this is so schlocky, fun, sword and sandal kind of silliness. It just goes all over the place. 83 film. It's pretty fucking fun. And one of our viewers slash listeners, Plemke, actually got this for me. Patrick Lemke, thank you again so much for this movie. I had been meaning to pick this up for a long time. He surprised me with it. I'll be watching this soon. Last but not least, we picked this up, which is the ultimate edition of King Kong. This is the Peter Jackson version of King Kong, which has Jack Black, Naomi Watts, and Adrian Brody in it, which I remember thinking at the time, it wasn't all that great. I wanted it to kind of go wild. I think this was during the time where everything was going really dark. But, after a rewatch or two of this movie, it does get better, and it's not as bad as you may think. So I figured, hey, if you're going to have an edition, you might as well have the ultimate edition. $5, what are you going to do? I even have this twice on DVD. I don't know why. But I do. I think we got it in like a combo pack, and then we got it like somebody gave us their movies or something like that. So that's it for this month. We went through quite a few. I mean, I got quite a few movies in there, some that are on pre-order, so we're waiting for the end of the month for November. I don't want to say what they are, but I got some good stuff that you're going to want to see. Plus, we may be doing another Dollar Tree haul next month, or soon anyway, to go through all the different movies that they have at the stores near you. Stay tuned for that. Got a new interview coming up, plus we're doing our last review of the 6th episode of Creepshow coming up, so definitely come back and give us a like, a subscribe, share this with someone that you love, and tell me all about what you would like to pick from this collection over here. Thank you guys so much for coming by, and long live the Void.